Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. My name's Steve and this is a 5-minute review of Skyscraper from 2018. The film stars Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Neve Campbell, Chin Han, Roland Møller, Noah Taylor, Byron Mann and Pablo Schreiber. The film is written and directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber. He's worked on a variety of films, both comedies like Dodgeball and We're the Millers, and also a number of action films in both the directing spot and the writing spot. He previously worked with Dwayne Johnson on Central Intelligence, where he directed him in that. So, what is the story of Skyscraper? Dwayne Johnson is a security expert who is based in a brand new building in Hong Kong, the tallest in the world, called the Pearl. He plays a character called Will Sawyer, who's moved into the building along with his wife, played by Neve Campbell, and the twins. At the start of the film, he was a soldier. Something went wrong. He was injured and he lost the bottom half of his left leg, and he also has a number of scars. His friend from back in the day, played by Pablo Schreiber, has also suffered some burns, but they both reinvented themselves and come out of it with a different life. In Will's case, he's a security expert. Before the Pearl can officially open and they can start introducing people living into the top half, Will has to run a final security check on the safety systems to ensure that it's completely safe within the law and all of the regulations. There's a bit of a complicated, unnecessary plot thing to do with the tablet that gives him access to all of the information, and it kind of telegraphs what is going to happen because they bring it to the attention of the audience so much. This film is some way an update of both Die Hard and The Towering Inferno, and that is where it has its DNA roots. And by saying those two film titles, you pretty much know what is going to happen in this film. That's probably my biggest complaint about it, that for all of its originality and them trying to do something different, it is extremely predictable and you always know what is going to happen. So it will come as no surprise to hear that a group of terrorists seize the building and they want something from the person who created it. So far, so Die Hard. As you might have expected with mention of the Towering Inferno, they set a fire on the 96th floor or something like that, an attempt to force the owner to escape, giving them what they actually need, which is something in his possession, and that they know he would never take it out of the building unless it was at risk. So they override the security systems, which obviously then complicates the situation for Will. People suspect he's involved, and the police are then chasing him. The problem is his family are still trapped in the building above the fire, so he has to escape the authorities and break back into the building to get to them. And this is, of course, the building that he knows very well inside and out because he worked on the security systems, and so he knows about the safety measures and so on. So with the fire raging, he's in there dodging fires, coming up with cool plans. And there's even a moment that's so Die Hard, I was kind of shaking my head. There's a very famous scene in Die Hard where he gets the fire hose, ties it round his waist, and jumps out to escape an explosion on the roof. Something very similar here. He ties a rope around his waist to go out and access some data port that can only be accessed from the outside of the building, of course. And it was all right. It was a fun twist and an exciting moment. But there again, it was so predictable. You can just write this. It's kind of like join the dots in some ways. The problem is that the terrorists don't have any of the charm that we've seen in Die Hard. Alan Rickman sadly has passed on, and the lead in this of the terrorists is a European guy, but that's about all I can tell you, and his name. He's just a bit flat. He doesn't have anything to do. He shoots a lot of people. He chases around. He doesn't really talk to his men that much. There's not a lot of time spent with him getting to know him. The majority of this film, as you would expect, is all focused around Dwayne Johnson's character. Noah Taylor's character, Mr. Pierce, is so much a cartoon villain. One look at his face and you know what he's going to do. Pablo Schreiber doesn't have a lot to do in this film either. There again, he's an exceptional actor who's used very sparingly, but he doesn't have much screen time, which is a shame. I would have liked to have seen a twist on what was quite predictable for his role as well. They set something up, the audience knows, but the character of Will does not. So that kind of dramatic irony is a bit irritating because we're waiting for the characters to catch up on something, and it's just frustrating for the viewer. There are some great action set pieces. However, Dwayne's character in this is not someone who's an active hero. Even though he was a soldier previously, he doesn't have any amazing fist fights or gun battles or something like that. His focus is completely on his family and getting them to safety. And because they're in the large part of the film, there's no moment where it's just him against the villains like you had in Die Hard. You had some fantastic fight scenes and gun battles. There's none of that there. It's mostly him dodging, running, getting out of the way. It was an interesting twist to have him as a veteran who was injured and has lost his leg, and he gets to use his prosthetic in a couple of interesting moments. So that was a bit different. But I don't know, the role didn't seem as active as we're used to seeing with Dwayne Johnson. So it's something different for him, but it left me as the viewer feeling a bit underwhelmed because I was expecting him to take the fight more to the villains and the terrorists and just really step up, and he never really did. It was nice to see Neve Campbell back on screen, and her character as Sarah Sawyer, the wife of Will, has some fun moments. She's a veteran doctor who previously worked on Will when he was injured, and that's how they met. So they introduce the backstory very quickly and easily. They don't dwell on it. And it was nice in this film that she wasn't just the victim that someone needed to rescue. She has a little bit of agency, and there are moments where people underestimate her. She even has a fight scene in this film with another character, so that was good. But as I said, the focus is on The Rock, so nobody else gets nearly as much screen time, which again could have been a deviation from what the template was that made it slightly less predictable. But never mind, that isn't what they did with this film. Weirdly, I'm actually going to say I wish this film was slightly longer. It came in at under 2 hours, and part of me wishes it had an extra 20 minutes or so that we could have more character development, so that we could have more time to get to know the lead terrorist, more time to get to know Sarah and maybe some of the police characters, because once again you had that very much parallel thing with people on the outside watching, the public watching, because it's all in the public view and on big screen TVs and all this sort of stuff. So I don't know, I wish there was just a bit more meat to it. But, you know, it was an action, fun film, lots of explosions, lots of running around, there's danger, but it was just all a bit too predictable. So, for those reasons, I'm going to give Skyscraper 3 out of 5 and say, it's all right, but if you've seen Die Hard and the Tower Inferno, you pretty much know beat for beat what is going to happen with this film. If you haven't, it's enjoyable, but you're not going to be thinking about it afterwards. So, have you seen Skyscraper? If so, get in touch and let us know. You can contact us in all of the usual ways. We're on email, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. If you like what we do, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. We're also on Ko-fi, so you can support us there. And we have new episodes coming out every week. Thanks for listening.